The article What Next in Iran by security analyst Dr. Rashid Wali Janjua asks the big question after this latest attack. Iran had been the last major bulwark of the axis of resistance against Israeli hegemony in the Middle East. Israel's fears stemmed from Iran's nuclear ambitions, its advanced missile arsenal, and its support for anti-Israel proxy groups. Two safeguards once kept the nuclear threat in check: the Obama-era Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, which imposed the world's most intrusive nuclear inspections, and Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's own fatwa banning development of a nuclear bomb. But the United States scrapped the JCPOA. Iran was hit with cyber sabotage at Natanz, slapped with harsh sanctions, and labeled a nuclear pariah. In response, Tehran began enriching uranium to 60%, far above the old 3.67% limit. That news alarmed Israel. With hardliner Netanyahu back in power and Donald Trump returning to the White House, plus a weakened global rules-based order and UN failures exposed by the Gaza conflict, the stage was set. Netanyahu had personal reasons. Prolonging the Gaza war delayed elections and possible corruption charges. He pressured the U.S. into an offensive, even while Iran-U.S. talks in Vienna were making real progress toward a new deal. A huge U.S. armada was sent, expecting quick Iranian capitulation. Instead, on February 28th, Israel and the U.S. struck without UN approval, killing Supreme Leader Khamenei and the top commanders of the IRGC and regular army. The international community, including P5 nations, condemned the action. Iran fought back with low-cost Shayad UCAVs, just $30,000 each, against $4 million Patriot missiles. U.S. Secretary of Pete Hegseth Kane claims air supremacy and a shift to stand-in targeting using non-smart gravity bombs. Analysts say America's smart munition stocks are depleted. The president has ordered a domestic production ramp-up. Yet the article warns the U.S. was dragged in by Netanyahu with no clear strategy or exit plan. Professor Mearsheimer notes
no boots-on-the-ground option,
and no domestic force inside Iran capable of regime change. Air and missile strikes alone have only hardened the IRGC's resolve and rallied Iranian nationalism. Balkanization is unrealistic. Kurds, Baloch, Arabs, and Azeris lack the power to challenge the IRGC or army. Citing Ivan Aragin Toft's theory of asymmetric conflict, a determined foe using indirect strategy often prevails. A long war may help Netanyahu's electoral chances, but it does not serve U.S. interests. The most likely path out of this cul-de-sac, the writer concludes, is for Washington to weaken Iran enough to force it back to the negotiating table, if Tehran is willing to accept such a deal. History of the last 100 years proves one truth: no war against a determined enemy has ever been won by air and missile firepower alone. The question remains, what next in Iran?